Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. I'm around page 92 right now. This author is known for the Raven Boys series. I read that series last year and I really liked the characters in that one, but the plot was a little bit hard to understand for me. I am very curious to read something else by this author. In The Listeners, the main female character is June Hudson. She is the general manager of a hotel. The hotel is called the Avalon Hotel. This is kind of a historical fiction because the timeline is set after the Pearl Harbor attack. As the general manager, June is actually in charge of managing the entire hotel. June started out as a maid when she was young, but then she got noticed by the owner of the hotel, and so the owner kind of brings her in to teach her skills that she needed to manage the hotel. And then she also grew up with the children of the owner. The setting is in a town in West Virginia, and the people kind of have like a superstition, something to do with the water in the town. They call it Sweetwater, and June kind of has this connection with the water. As I mentioned, the setting is after Pearl Harbor attack, so the US State Department sent an order to close down the hotel to house some Axis diplomats. And we're talking about like Nazi diplomats, we're talking about people close to the Japanese ambassador at the time. So Jude is definitely upset. I mean, she has people on her staff whose son was killed at Pearl Harbor, and also she has some Jews on her staff. However, this is a non-negotiable order from the State Department and is signed by the president, so she has no choice but to accept and just be professional about it. There is an FBI agent and 2 other agents with him who comes to the hotel to kind of get ready before the diplomats come. So they're there to interview the staff and just check the entire hotel to make sure there's not going to be any issues. I'm not sure if there is going to be a romance, but the FBI agent, we get a lot of his POV in this book. I found this book really interesting. The writing can feel a little bit dense. I definitely need more brain power, and I kind of have to concentrate when reading, and sometimes I even have to like go back and reread sentences. But I am enjoying my reading experience so far. It's so different than what I've been reading recently. Oh, and the hotel that June manages is like some really high-class hotel. So it was so interesting to read about how she manages the hotel, what are the things, the perks, all the luxury that the hotel offers, all the expensive architecture. So I am excited to keep reading this, and I'll come back later and let you know my thoughts. Reading The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. So let's review my final thoughts on this book. My last update was around page 90 or so. So this book is actually divided into 4 parts. My last update was when I finished part 1. I felt like part 1 was like kind of an introduction, like getting to know the characters. So I was expecting from part 2 onwards to be more exciting. I thought the story is gonna pick up and be maybe a little bit more dramatic. However, the progression or dynamic, I'm not sure what the correct word is, but the story was kind of like the same, like kind of monotonous. So I did get a little bit bored when I was reading part 2. But then because of work, I had to put down this book for a bit, and I didn't get to read again until Friday. So I think I had a good break, because when I picked up this book again and read part 3, 4, and then the ending, I kind of enjoyed the story again. I do like all the characters in this book, including the side characters, but my favorite would have to be the female main character. She definitely has the strongest presence. She's definitely the strongest character in this book. There is a little bit of romance, but this is definitely more of a fiction book in my opinion. The magical realism part was a little bit weird, and the plot itself wasn't too interesting to me, but I did enjoy reading about the female character, like how she manages the hotel and also her interactions with other people, like her staff, with the FBI agent, her interactions with the diplomats, and also her relationship with the family that owns the hotel. The writing style is also kind of unique. I don't think I've read something like this recently. Overall, I like and enjoy this, but I'm not sure if I would recommend this book to people who read like romance or fantasy. And because I'm not used to reading a lot of fiction yet, like I'm trying to read more. So I don't know if people who usually read fiction, like what would be their take on this book, but I am very curious to see what are other people's opinion. If I can compare this to other books, I'm talking about just the vibes, not like any similarities with the plot or characters, I would say that it's giving me kind of same vibes as The Warm Hands of Ghosts, and also a little bit of Starling House, maybe. In my opinion, this is definitely different from the author's other series, the Raven Boy series. I felt like the writing in this one is a lot more mature. So those are my thoughts on The Listeners. I'm not sure if that's helpful, because this is definitely a book that's kind of different than what I'm used to. But I did enjoy it. So The Listeners came out in June, beginning of June, and the next book that I have started reading already, I'm 40% through that book. That is also a book that came out in early June, and that is A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. This is a YA fantasy book inspired by the fairy tale Beauty and the Beast. It has a marriage of convenience trope. The main character, her name is Truyen. Her father got lost at sea when she was young, so she has 2 younger sisters. In order to support her sisters and her mother, she becomes this kind of like con artist. And what she does is she can paint really well, so she would forge painting by famous painters and sell them as if they're like the original work of the famous painters. But she also has this gift where she can paint the future. So she gets like visions, and then she would like paint them, and they're of the future. So she can't really like control those visions. It just comes, and then she would paint it and it would like come true. But her mother has a gambling problem, and so the mom owes a lot of money to some gangsters, and in order for Truyen to save herself and her family by chance encounter, she gets into this marriage of convenience with this dragon lord. The dragon lord has his own agenda, and so part of his plan is that he has to be married. So Truyen agrees to this contract marriage, but she has to go with the dragon lord to his kingdom. And in this world, the dragon kingdom is like under the sea. This is definitely one of those like cliche story. I mean, it is based on Beauty and the Beast, so it's very typical romantasy kind of book, but this is YA, and I am like kind of eating it up. Like, I can't explain why. I'm just really enjoying this book so far. I like the banter between the characters, and the main male character, he's kind of cold and mean, and sometimes I don't like it, but sometimes it works for me, and in this book it's kind of working for me. I'm also really liking the world building and setup in this story. I'm enjoying all the characters, side characters, main characters, love it, and I just cannot wait to see this main male character eat his words, because he's like really cold and mean to the main character. He's telling her like, me being nice to you is just a front, this is part of my plot, like don't take it seriously. So I cannot wait to see him eat his words. It's super bingeable for me, so I think I might finish this book today, and then I will come back to you with my final thoughts. I am at 94% of this book right now. I really hope that's not the ending, because oh no, that's not what I expected. I have to finish the last 6%. I'm scared. Made it. I think the author was like trying to play with me, like giving me happiness and sadness and happiness and sadness. Jeez. But I finished the book, and I will tell you my thoughts tomorrow. I finished reading A Forgery of Fate last night, and it was a roller coaster of emotions. So let's talk about my final review on that book. One thing I like about the book is they have like little tidbits mention of legends and lore, and I really like reading the little tidbits of that in the story. And as I mentioned, this is inspired by Beauty and the Beast, so there were definitely secrets that the main male character kept from the female main character, and I was so curious about what those secrets could be, because there are some things that I could predict, but then there were other things that I couldn't predict, and I like that a cliche story like this can still kind of surprise me. And I also mentioned that the main male character is kind of cold and mean, and I was starting to get a little bit annoyed with him, but then he kind of does redeem himself, and then I started rooting for their relationship again. Also, this is YA, so there is no spice in this book. I find that the world is so beautiful. Just the imagery and picturing like the scenery in my head. I feel like I'm watching one of those like Chinese dramas with historical setting. The author really did put me through a roller coaster of emotions towards the end of the story. So I don't know if it's obvious, but I absolutely enjoyed this book and I cannot wait to read something else by this author. I've actually already read one book by her last year. It's the Six Crimson Cranes. I read the first book in that duology. So I really need to. There is a second book already out and a prequel, so I need to get on top of that soon. I hope you enjoy this vlog of me reading and reviewing these two June releases. And thank you so much again for watching. And I will see you next time.